Round number 15, I'm continuing with the same colorway, and this is a nice easy peasy round. You're just going to make one single crochet back post around all of your stitches, right? I don't know why I thought they were front posts, but you're going to make, so you can just start anywhere, right? You can begin anywhere. And now what you want to do is, instead of working around the post, you want to work around the top of the stitch like that, okay? And you're just going to do single crochet back posts, so right into the top of the post, right? And you're just going to go all the way around like that, and you will end up with the same stitch count, 112 stitches. In this case, 112 single crochet back posts. Okay, so I'll just leave you to it, and then I won't finish off this round with you because you know it's super easy. You can just slip stitch into your second single crochet, sorry, not your, yeah, your second one, just slip stitch and fasten off, right? So, and I think it would be a good idea to just check your stitch count. Sure. If you can hear those birds in the background, those are Egyptian ibis. We have loads of them here. We call them Rnds. They make a very, very funny sound, but it's very, what is the word? It's something every South African knows, the Rnds. Right, so now that I let you have a listen to the Rnds, and I shall see you at round number 16. Round number 16, and we're going to be making a few little embellishments, right? So now these embellishments, I was going to say that they are optional, but they actually are the little bits and pieces that really make your pattern pop, right? So the first one we're going to do is this little bubble in the center, this little one here, right? Which looks very much like a raspberry. Right, so I'm going to show you how to make this. Super duper easy. So the color that I'm going to be using is my sage green. Right, and we're going to start off with chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we are going to make a double crochet into our first chain. So basically we have a chain 3 plus an extra chain, and that first chain we're going to use as we would a ring or a loop, a magic loop, right? So we're going to make 12 double crochets. So your first chain 3 space is your first of your double crochet. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. and then you'll just slip stitch into the top of your second double crochet like that. Now cut off a longish tail, not too long, but long enough because we're going to be using the tail to make our little bobbly bit, right? So you can just fasten off like that, and you can pull that closed. So now what we need to do, so let's first secure that center bit over there. So in the same way that you would, you know, just sort of secure your magic loop, or if you do a chain ring, so we'll just go around like that. We'll just cross over like that. So the idea here is that you make this tail center. So this is the back, and then your tail is at the center like that, right? Now we're going to turn our work over, and we're going to, sorry about the noise in the background, but my neighbors have just decided to show their faces outside. Right, now so this is our bottom tail, this is our top tail. So what you're going to do is just, so you can do this any way you like, right? We're just going to weave our yarn all the way around like that. Now work over your finger and you can feel, see, it's like you're making a teeny tiny beanie. And you're working into those back loops, right? Okay. Just go right, like that. Okay. Then you're just going to pull that together, like so. Right, and then you just want to secure that. Okay, you probably do a better job than I. A little bit untidy, right? And then because you want to get your tail to the center like that. Right, so now you have those two little tails. Then you're just going to chop a bit off the longer tail, and there's your little bubble, and then just pull it like that. Okay, and then I'm sure you can guess the next part. Right, you're just going to thread your needle and put it through the center of your round number 1, right? And then you can just secure this whichever way you like. Right, so I'm doing it like that. And like I did in the chrysalis, where there were these sort of finicky little bits to do, I just put a dab of fabric glue over the knot, just to be 100% sure that they wouldn't come adrift. And boy, does that stuff stick. I actually had a carpet tile that came loose at one corner, and I stuck it down with the fabric glue. Oh my goodness, that stuff is amazing. It's actually stronger than contact glue. I swear. Right, okay, and there's your little bubble. Okay, see, I'm getting a bit fiddly now. You can just fiddle around with it. Okay, so you might want to practice and get yours absolutely perfect, but there you go. So that's your first little embellishment. So even though I said these are optional, this is what really does make the pattern, I think. What do you think? So that is the first of our embellishment round, and I shall see you at the next part of our embellishment round. Right. So have you spotted the difference? Oh, goodness. My hands are absolutely freezing. Right, so now this section of round number 16, which is part 2, so this was part 1, and this is part 2, are these little bubbly bits made into our popcorns from round number 8, right? So let me show you in the sample piece. So in the sample piece, I made these 4 double crochets together. So it's this color over here, the claret, right? So just so you can have a squiz. So I think maybe it will depend on your colorway. This is an optional round. You don't have to do these, and it's completely up to you. So there are a lot of ends to work in because you're making each of these little bubbles independently. So I can already hear a few of you just saying, nope, nopey, nope, nope, nope. Okay, so this is an independent round, and it's also a optional round, right? So I'm just going to show you how to make these and then you can decide for yourself. So, you know, for me, I love to crochet this way. I love to make all these little extra embellishments and bits and pieces. You know, that's just the way that I crochet. So, funny enough, in my own life, I prefer things very sort of plain and simple. But when it comes to my crochet, my inner bohemian shows itself. Right, so as I said, with my sample piece I made 4 double crochets together, but for this one I'm just going to make 3 double crochets together because I just want to have small little bobbly bits. So as you can see, we're working over the joining space of our popcorn, right? Chain 3 and then 2 double crochets. So we're making 3 double crochets together, right? And this is what I call a Netflix round because it's a little bit tedious and you have to sew in ends and so on. So it's good to just, you know, go and sit in front of, go plonk your bottom in front of Netflix, good movie, or listen to the radio, or listen to a podcast. Oh, this is good for podcasts, right? Because I did mine listening to the latest Arne and Carlos podcast. Okay, I just wanted to show you this one, right? As you can see, the joining space for this popcorn faces that way. But what you want to do is sort of angle your little bubbles towards the set, you know, so they're not splayed outwards. That's not a given. If you're going to be doing them, it doesn't really matter. But you want them to sort of all look even, right? So instead of doing it over the joining space for the double crochets when you make a popcorn, I've just kind of slanted this a little bit to the right. Okay, and then made my chain 3 like that, and then the other 2 double crochets, work them together and then fasten off. So it looks laborious, but actually goes really quickly, and especially if you're listening to a podcast or listening to something on Netflix, it goes really, really quickly. Right, and now you're just going to tie the two ends together like that. I can just hear you all saying, no, we'll pass. Right, I mean, I could have done this, you know, as a round, but I like to go back. I like, you know, when I've been doing too many boring and repetitive sort of rounds, then that's when I start getting into my independent rounds and my little embellishments. It's just to take my, it's basically so that I don't get bored of doing too much of the same thing. And then I think, oh, no, it's time for a break. Where can I add a bubble? What can I do? Right, and now we're just going to work those tails to the back. So you want to make sure that all the tails are going to the back like that. Right, and then you can see where the tails have come out. Right? Now, there are two ways that you can do these ends. You can do them the proper way, like this. So I'm just going to work in a couple of ends here. Right. And then back again. And then just to make sure, like that. Fasten off, or not fasten off, snip off. Okay, so you can do them like that, or you can do them like this and just make several knots, snip off, and then take your fabric glue and just dab a little dab, dab a little dab, apply a little dab of fabric glue, and that'll keep your knot from unknotting. Believe me, that stuff, as I said before, is like super, super strong. Okay, so as you can see, I've worked my tails in, and then I've also just knotted them and put a little bit of fabric glue on the tips, sort of, or on the knot, just to make sure that the knot is secure. So I've done them both ways, you know. But, all right, so this is the back of your work. So if it doesn't look like this, then you know you've made a mistake somewhere. Right. And then that's the front with all your little bubbles. Now, as I said, the bubbles are absolutely optional. Absolutely optional. Right. So that is part 2 of our round number 16. And now we are going to go on to the next part, which is part 3. And I'm going to grab my blush. I'm still sort of struggling with my colors. Now, for our next part, we're going to find our sections where we made our 4 double crochets, right? So that was over here. So remember, we had our 4 double crochets, and then we had the 8 double crochets. So we had 4 double crochets, and then we had those stitches over there, which was 10, but remember before it was 8 at the back, right? So we'll find a section that has 4 double crochets like that. So not this section over here, but this section over here, right? Now we're going to skip 2 double crochets, and then we're going to work into the space, and we're going to work over our single crochet back posts, and we're just going to make 2 popcorns like that. So we're just going to work right over the space. So 2, 3, 4, 5, So try and always get all the strands together. Chain 1 to close, chain 1, and we're going to repeat that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now you're going to make these 2 popcorns with the chain 1 space 7 times more. Right, so you're going to repeat it into your 7 other sections of 4 double crochets. I'm just going to double make sure that that's properly okay. So again, sorry, lots of tails, right? And then you're going to do the next one over there, and the next one over there, 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 next one over there. So you'll have 8 times 2 popcorns plus a chain 1 space. But now before I go on to that, I'm going to do the last section. So the section number 4, or part number 4 of our round number 16. Right, and that's also an independent round, which means there are going to be tails to work in, right? So we are going to whoopsie, I'm going to grab my meadow. And now we're going to go all the way back to our round number, so what round was that? Round number 9, right? And we're going to work into the space between our 6 double crochets. Right, all the way back in round number 9. So we're going to skip 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. We're going to work into this space, and you're going to chain 16 to 18. So you have to just keep an eye on your tension. If your tension is very tight, add extra chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, right? Fasten off. Now you're just going to pull that bottom loop to the back like that. Okay, and then you're going to pull your chain all the way up between your popcorns like that. So you can just wiggle, some wiggle room. So it must go right in between. And then work it. Now, if you did the chrysalis, you'll know that you'll be an expert at these already. Okay, because somewhere along the line, I just thought, this is a fun thing to do. I'm going to do it. And now I'm doing it all the time. I don't know. You know, I go through phases where I sort of do things and then I think, oh, I've had enough of that. But at the moment, I love making the stalks of little flowers like that. And of course, as you know, the hooks and tails patterns are all about the florals, right? So I might go back and redo that popcorn. It's a little bit untidy. Right. So you can see there's method to my madness. Right? So this is where we are at the moment. So you can see I matched up the colours from round number 9. I did the stalk in the same colour. Right. So you're going to do that all the way around. Now, there are 2 ways to do this. Okay. One is that you can take your chain over the stitches. The other is that you can take the chain under like that. You can just pull the chain under like that. Okay, that gives a slightly different effect. Okay, so I did that somewhere in the chrysalis and I thought, I quite like that. So you could do it like that as well. You can actually take your chain under, right? But I wanted this to be over like that. So it's sort of free floating, and again it sort of adds to that rich texture, very tactile, you know. I've heard that children really love my patterns because there's lots of fiddly bits. Right, you know, things that are sort of three-dimensional and so on. Okay, so that's it. Round number 16. So I'll leave you to go and add your embellishments, or not, as the case may be. And then I will see you at round number 17. Okay, I'll just give you a little squizzy again. Show you the back. Okay. Right, I'll see you soon. So this is a bit of an afterthought. While I was sitting outside in a sunspot, because my little workroom is absolutely freezing cold, so while I was busy doing all these ends in, I went to go and sit outside with the cats in a sun patch. And while I was busy doing these little stalks, I thought to mention a better way of doing them. Right, so we obviously have our chain 16. We work that bottom tail to the back. We work the top tail between our two. I'll get there eventually. At least my hands have warmed up. Right, so we're going to work that little stalk between our two popcorns. Right, so now instead of working over that chain 3 space, we'll just work under that chain 3 space. I think it's a much neater finish, right? And then you can just tie your two tails together. So I'm going to do 3 hefty knots, and then even off your tails so they're both the same size. I think this is a better option for securing your little stalks. Right, and then we're just going to go, and then we'll work in the tails as you would sort of traditionally work in tails, right, for crochet or knitting, I guess. Right, like that, and then fasten off. So you can still do the knots. You can do the knots if you want to, because that fabric glue is very, very tough. But I found you have to be so careful with the amount that you use, because you really only need the tiniest of dabs, or tiniest of drops of I mean, really, like I would take a matchstick and just put a little bit on the end and then dab it on, because it tends to leave it slightly rubbery, because it's waterproof. Because the fabric glue is meant to be waterproof so that you can wash it. So for example, if you put if you hem and you use the fabric glue, you don't want your hem coming undone. Right, so that's what I wanted to show you. So that's the back, right? Okay, so I'm just going to finish off here and then I'll see you soon. Right, there we go. So we're on to round number 17, and round number 17 we are going to be working with our, sorry, I'm just making a note here. We're going to be working with our copper, right? So congratulations for surviving round number 16. I'm patting myself on the back, right? Because that was labor intensive. Now what we're going to do is we are going to work left of any of our 2 popcorns, right? Right, so what we're going to be doing also is we're working into our single crochet back posts, right? And you want to make, I was going to say going and 1, 2, so I got gumped. Right, so we're going to make a chain 3 equal to 1 double crochet and then another 11 double crochets, so we're going to end up with 12 double crochets, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, chain 2, skip our popcorns and continue on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that correct? Have I added too many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 and chain 2 and so on. So you're just going to go around like that until you have 8 times 12 double crochets and 8 times chain 2 spaces. Right, and then I shall see you at the end of this round. We'll finish this round off together and move on to round number 18. So we're on to round number 18, and round number 18 we are going to be making the beginning of our corners, and the color that I'm going to be using, so I'm faffing around here looking at colors. So I'm going to be using my sage. Right, so what we're going to do is find any 2 popcorns, and we want to work into the chain 1 space between our popcorns, right? Now what we're going to do is chain 4 and then make another treble, right? And then we're going to make another treble. So we have 3 trebles. Then we're going to do 2 double trebles. So all into that chain 1 space. Right, so we've made our 2 double trebles, and then we're going to make 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. Right, like that. Okay, and now we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to work a single crochet into our second chain 3 space from round number 7, I think it was. So we have 1, 2, 3 chain 3 spaces. We're going to work into the middle one, right? We're going to single crochet, and then we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to single crochet into the next chain 3 space. So that little chain 3 space, which is looks like a little bridge over our chain 16 space, we're just going to single crochet into that space. Then we're going to chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to, and then here we are again at our 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip that one and work into this one. Right. And then we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to repeat our corner. Right, so all we did with the chains was a bridge, right, across. Now, what I really wanted to do was make this an independent round, okay, and then you would work in the corners, but I couldn't do that to you or myself. So that's why we're making all these chains. Then we're going to yarn over twice and into our next chain 1 space. We're going to work 3 trebles. Right. And then we're going to work 2 double trebles. One, 2, 3. And then we're going to work 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and the last one. And then you're just going to repeat the chain sequence again. So I'll turn it over like that, and you can see how that works. Okay, pretty simple, because we're working into those chain spaces. So you see there was method to my madness. So we work in 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll have 4, 8, 12, 16 times chain 6 spaces. And then we have single crochets, 1, 2, 3. So we'll have 3, 6, 9, 12 single crochets into those chain 3 spaces. Like that. So I'm just going to... Right. So that's what your wrong side must look like. Okay, so now again we have Kitty. We have a kitty face. A very fat kitty face with tiny little ears. Right, so you're just going to carry on like that, and then I shall see you over here, and we can finish off round number 18 together before we go on to round number 19. So see you there. And to close this round, we're just going to slip stitch into our second treble and fasten off. Right, and now we've created 4 corners. Okay, so going to look like that. Right, so something I wanted to mention as well about colours. You know, as I was saying, what I've been saying all along is that I'm just randomly choosing my colours. So this is what I thought that you might find interesting, is that it doesn't really matter what colours you use. You can balance them out. So it really is just a case, I think, of just balancing out your colours. So I was, panicking a little bit about this blue. Well, not panicking, but it was bothering me. But because I'm using stronger colours and so on, the blue is kind of not attracting my attention so much anymore. And I can do some little blue bits elsewhere, which will sort of balance things out. So it's really just a case of balance. You know, there's no hard and fast rule. You just use your clever eyes. Right, so round number 18, done and dusted, and I shall see you at round number 19. We're getting down to the business of squaring off our harvest moon. Right, so there's our moon with a little harvest going on in the moon. I don't know where I get my names from. Right, so now this is a nice easy peasy round. So let me show you what we're going to be doing here. So this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be making puffs. So we're going to start with 2 puffs and then 1, 2, 3 and so on. Okay, so this is where we are now. So we almost finished. Right, so what we're going to do is begin in this space between any of our 2 double trebles together, right? So we're going to call that our corner space. And we're going to work again, just the 2, yarn over times 3, puffs times 2, right? So we're going to work a puff, chain 2, and work another puff. 1, 2, and 3. Right? Then we're going to skip a double treble and work another puff. Right? We're going to skip a treble, work another puff, skip another treble. 1, 2, 3. Right. Now we're going to skip 4 double crochets from our round number 17. And we're going to work single crochet front posts over the next 8 double crochets. So we skip 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we work single crochet front posts over the next 8. And you need to work these over the top of the stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you want to work them over the top of the double crochets and not the posts. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we're going to chain 2, skip the next chain 2, and we're going to work single crochet front post over the next 8 double crochets, but over the top. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You should have 4 double crochets left over. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And then yarn over, skip your first treble and work your puff, skip your next treble, work your next puff, skip the next treble, work your next puff, and that brings you to where we started, which is the corner. 1, 2, 3, right? Chain. Remember to chain 1 to close. As I was saying, with any of our stitches, if we're working in sort of clusters, we chain 1 to close. So it's not part of the chain, counting of the chain space, right? So chain 2, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Right. So it's going to look like that. Okay. So that's really, really easy. So you're going to have these big corners that have got 8 puffs in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 chain 2 space. And then you'll have 16 single crochet front posts and 1 chain 2 space for your sides, obviously times 4, right? So you carry on like that, and then I will see you at the end here. We can finish off this round together and move on to round number 20. And to finish off this round, we're just going to slip stitch into that little space, that little hole just above our first popcorn. And we're going to snip off. Right, so again, I'm sticking with the same colors, but the reason I'm snipping off is in case you want to change up your colors. Right, so that's how it's going to look. So you're going to have 4 sections of 16 single crochet front posts, and you're going to have 4 times chain 2 spaces, and then you're going to have your corners, which is 4 times 8 puffs and 1 chain 2 space. Rightio, so it's going to look like that. And I shall see you at round number 20. On to round number 20, and I'm going to continue with the same color, and we're going to begin in our chain 2 corner space, so any chain 2 corner space, and we're going to repeat those corners. So we're going to work yarn over times 3, chain 1 to close, chain 2, yarn over, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, chain 1 to close, into the next space, into the next space, so the spaces between our puffs, right? So whereas last time we had 3 puffs, now we're going to have 4 puffs. And then we're going to work a puff into this little bridging space. So it's a joining space. It's a space between one stitch and the other, right? 1, 2, 3. Right. Now this little puff, if you can, try and make it a little bit higher than your other puffs, right? Now we're going to work into round number 17. So this is our single crochet front post round, okay, and then round number 18 was this round, so we're going to round number 17. Right, so now we want to make 1 double crochet into the stitches from round number 17, but behind round number 18. I mean round number 19, right? So now you want to start in the first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And now we are going to work into the chain 2 space from round number 17. So this is the chain 2 space from round number 19, and this is the chain 2 space from round number 17, and we're working into that space. We're going to make 2 double crochets. Excuse my noisy neighborhood. Right, now what we're going to do is yarn over, and we're going to skip this first double crochet, and we're going to work a double crochet into the next double crochet, into the next double crochet, but behind the single crochet front post. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now our next double crochet is, so it's a little bit hidden, right? But you want to work into that double crochet, and then in that way it matches the other side, right? Because we start in this double crochet right here, right on the edge next to the puff, and we end on a double crochet right next to the puff. Otherwise we're going to have excuse me, we're going to have a big gap. Then yarn over, and we are back to making puffs. So we're going to, so remember with this, right, remember with this, when we're mirroring the other side now, we're working into this space first. So we're working 1, 2, 3. So pull the yarn up a little bit higher for this puff. And then we skip the next puff. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right, and then we're back to our corner, into our chain 2 corner space. 1 puff, chain 2, yarn over, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, chain 1 to close. Right, so okay, and it's going to look like so. Okay, so you're going to have 18 double crochets here, right? So you've got 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 and 8 is 16, 17, 18. So we've got 18. So one side is equal to 18 double crochets, and it's equal to 8 puffs. So we're going to call these our sides, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 8 puffs, 18 double crochets, one side. And then our corner is a puff, chain 1, and a puff. Okay, so now you're just going to go all the way around, and then I'll see you at the end of this round, round number 20, and we'll fasten off together before we go on to round number 21. So see you there. Right, and as promised, we'll finish off this round together, fasten off, and we can move on to round number 21. Right, so now round number 21 is an independent round, but there's hope. You only have to do 4 of these bubbles, right? So don't panic. Now I'll show you in the sample piece. So this was the sample piece. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So we only have 4 of those to do. Right, so I'll see you in a moment. So we're on to round number 21, and as I was saying, this is a independent round. So what we're going to do is remember we worked into 4 of our 2 popcorns like that to make our corners. Now we're going to make our other 2 popcorns pay rent. Right, so we're going to work into that chain 1 space between our 2 popcorns. I'm using the same color, which is the blush. We're going to make 4 trebles into this chain 1 space. Right, so we begin obviously with a chain 4. And again, right, 1, 2. Fasten off. And now we're going to make our, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a bubble. So like we made the little bubbles over here with 3 double crochets together. Now we're going to make 4 trebles together. We're going to make a bubble using 4 trebles together, right? So we take our bottom tail out that way, out the back door, and then we go into the space above our chain 2 space, from round number where we made the single crochet front posts, and then we're just going to tie this together like that, and that's your bubble, right? And then and then you can work in the ends. So you're probably cursing me, come on, what's with all these ends, lady? Oh well, you know, what can I say? My children are grown up and out the house, and so now I can actually spend time making independent rounds. Right, we're going to do it again. Into the next chain one space, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over twice, 1, 2, yarn over twice, 1, 2, yarn over twice, 1, 2. And you don't have to do 4 trebles together, you can do 6 trebles together, and then you get a really chunky bobble. As you know, if you've done some of my other patterns before, I have done that. So now we are going to take the tail out the back door and we're going to take this tail out the window, and then we're going to tie these 2 ends together like that, not too tight. Okay, and then you can just work those tails away. You can actually work them into kind of into the back of your bubble. Right. Okay, so that's it. So you're just going to do 2 more then, and I shall see you back here after you've worked in all your ends, and we'll move on to round number 22. To round number 22, and round number 22 I'm going to work with that Cornish blue, right? So I have decided that I'm definitely going to stick with this colorway. I really love this bright, I've just got, I don't know, the mustard is talking to me very much. Anyway, so this is where we are now with the claret, right? But I'm going to be using the Cornish blue with this colorway. But as you can see, there is a lot of scope for playing with colors here. So we're going to begin in any of our chain 2 corner spaces. We're going to chain 2, which is equal to 1 half double crochet, and then another half double crochet, and then we're going to chain 2 and 2 half double crochets like that. Right, then we're going to make a single crochet front post over the next puff, which is our second corner puff. Chain 1, single crochet front post, 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 chain 1. So we have 5 single crochet front posts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we've got 5 chain 1 spaces, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to work a single crochet front post over all of our next double crochets, and we're going to work at the top of the stitch and not the post, right? So we should have 18 single crochet front posts here. So we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, chain 1, right? and then a single crochet front post over our next puff, chain 1, single crochet front post over the next puff, chain 1, single crochet front post over the next post, chain 1, right? And so we have 5 single crochet front posts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 chain 1 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're back to making our 2 half double crochets, chain 2, 2 half double crochets. Right, and then you're just going to repeat everything that we've just done, like so. Right, so that is round number 22, and I shall see you at the end of round number 22.